British English versus American English. Is one better than the other? In the following conversation, two students who want to be teachers are going to give their point of view about American English and British English.
Hey Kevin, hey David. You already know that the English spoken in the USA is different from the English spoken in the UK. Yeah, not only pronunciation, but also in vocabulary and in some cases, word meaning as well.
Well, that's true, and that is why I think American English spelling is easier to understand, and because of that, I think that the whole world should adopt this as the only one.
Well, at some points that could be true, but I keep thinking that British English is purer. Besides, this is the language of the most famous authors, like Shakespeare, for example.
Wait, don't be so far. We could start in order talking step by step.
Okay, it's a good idea.
So, why don't we start with the consistency of the both accents? I mean, let's retake spelling. As I told you a few seconds ago, I think that American English spelling is more consistent in the way with how we say words. And the classic example would be color, COLOR in American way,
Yeah.
as you should know, and color, COLOUR in British way. And as we both know, the most common way to say that word is in the American way.
Yes, but you should know that British English is much older than American English, and those differences in spelling are mainly the fault of French, who invaded England about 1066.
For real? I didn't know that.
Yes, but in contrast, English came to North America via the first British settlements that eventually, with George Washington, became USA.
Oh, right.
So in 1700s, approximately, English was still open language, and even the British didn't have formal standard for spelling. What I'm trying to say is both accents have been exposed to changes before that could establish
So,
standard
could
spelling.
we say that both accents claim the same?
In some way, yes.
Because, I mean, both accents have spelling standards, so in these aspects, they are both consistent. But talking about the pronunciation, this one is not so obvious when it comes to consistency.
Can you give me an example, please?
Well, for example, Americans will pronounce the AO sound in tomato and potato in the
Okay.
same way. Britishers, in contrast, don't. And another example could be, well, Britishers will pronounce the in sound, INE, in machine and iodine in the same way. Americans don't.
Okay.
So these are two simple examples, but they both highlight pronunciation differences that are not consistent with the spelling. So there will be always regional differences, but even with the regional accent, the sound produced will be understandable.
Exactly. Thanks for
Okay, but
understanding.
what about the vocabulary? Let's get into the fun area. Again, and although the differences are minimum, I think most people around the world know and use the vocabulary of American English.
Well, I can say that British English and American English are very similar, even with differences in spelling. No?
Maybe they are similar, but in today's world, American spelling is probably winning thanks to Microsoft spell checker.
Yeah, but there are vocabulary differences, and some can cause embarrassing situation if you only know one flavor.
How comes? Could you give me an example?
Well, let me think. The example of suspenders comes to my mind. In the USA, men wear suspenders, But in the UK, women wear suspenders. There's a whole world of fun in some of
Well,
these
that's
differences.
true. And also another difference could be that Britishers can knock their friends up in the morning, but this situation could be considered inappropriate in the USA. So we could say that despite the fact that there are different meanings for the same word and that there are some genuine differences in vocabulary, again, both accents are consistent within their own rules.
Right, but we are English teachers. What about teaching implications? The differences in spelling, pronunciation, and vocabulary may raise doubts in the English language learning students' minds about the new teacher's knowledge of the language.
Oh, well, you're right. In that way, I think it is important that the teacher explains that the two flavors of English are different and whenever necessary to highlight where these differences are.
Well,
And also the teacher must be consistent within the rules of the teaching flavor they are teaching.
you are correct. But the students will certainly know that Americans and British have different accents, but they will not understand the differences we mentioned before, unless they are taught.
Yes, but dictionaries solve many classroom problems, as dictionaries are independent arbiters of disputes regarding spelling and meaning. And also, if you understand the phonetic code, dictionaries can solve pronunciation issues as well.
So, Kevin, in conclusion, we could say that the British English is the purest, and that's why American English should not be one adopted by whole world.
No. The point is,
No?
no, the point is both accents, American and British, have a purpose and they are both consistent within their rules.
Well, you're right. I think that only conclusion we can get to is that the British English versus American English competition is pretty much the same as the Coca-Cola versus Pepsi competition, for example, no?
Exactly. There will be people who will drink either because they like Coca-Cola,
Yes.
and those who prefer one over the other. So neither one is better. I mean, they are just the same but different.
Well, Kevin, this has been interesting and reflecting conversation. We should do this more often, no?
Of course, we should.